Okay, so speaking of SAP projects, okay, SAP projects are basically it's a landscape that we have to understand, and the landscape is of the client, okay, and the client with the landscape we need to have info from the client, okay. These two parts basically form the basis for blueprinting, configuration, testing, and for deployment. For example, if port company wants implementation, it will actually plan how many modules will be implemented, how many people will be using the software, the licenses, everything, the consultants, the knowledge, everything will be become part of the scoping. Now, scoping is what? I mean, you sit down with the managers of the department, the HODs, and we document every process. Now, by process, I mean workflow. Workflow is that, for example, if I give an example over here, inventory. In inventory, of course, automotive like Ford will have movement of piston, bearings, chassis, engine, tires, rims, interiors, gearbox, steering, speedometer. Okay. So each of these that I have explained will have a different mode of movement. For example, pistons will be moved in pairs, but in hundreds. Bearings will be moved not in pairs, but in pack of four, in hundred, in thousands, because bearings, the usage, their sizes will be different. Chassis, that's one on one, one by one, engine one by one, okay? And by movement, I mean, what do I mean? Yes. By movement, I mean managers or floor execs will book transfer, okay, from warehouse to store or to a factory floor or assembly floor. So booking and transfer in SAP or in legacy will mean transfer advice, okay, or pro forma or request. Okay, it will be generated, and that advice will be relayed to the manager, to production head, and so on. So this is just one piece of process that I actually took up, and that required me to put down these parts of our discussion. I mean, this required me like 2 to 3 minutes, right? So we're discussing about only one process over here, not complete, not that even completely. Okay? So that's how when we actually sit down for inventory, finance, HCM, sales, production, QA, distribution, plant, uh, plant maintenance. Okay, every module department will have their own set of processes, and that will run in hundreds and thousands of processes. And that basically becomes as is document. It is just but a rough outline. Okay. Like in finance, we will have to sit down and see how many GLs do we need. In HCM and HR, we need to know how many employees are there, how many taxes have been paid, how many unpaid leaves are applied, and how many were awarded and used, and so on, right? In inventory, of course, we need to see groups, articles, quantity, storage locations, as I've mentioned in this process a little lightly. In phase two, then when every part of the process is collected, that becomes the as document. It's no rocket science, it's just a collection of your process. The expertise, your expertise actually lies how to get the minute, the most minute details, molecular details, atomic details of all these processes in one place, in one document. Okay. Phase two basically is where the audit teams basically sit down and they finalize the process. Some process will be most important. Some process will be very essential. Some will be unavoidable, and some will be not so important but good to have, and some will be unwanted. Some will be part of the legacy system, but that legacy system is basically pulling down your business process or slowing down your business, right? So you have to grade your processes, okay? Like, as I said, as I mentioned, best, most important, un unavoidable, um, inevitable, not so important, um, destructive. I mean, some processes, of course, are destructive in the sense that time wasters, right? Those are just pulling down your resources or time wastage or resource wastage. Like you have to make clerical staff to work for some manual postings, and that is not required. Okay. In that sense, of course, your processes will have to be weighed. Their will have to be seen. Weightage will have to be seen according to business generation. How good is it for business generation or business improvement? Okay. Because at the end of the day, your client is only concerned with this part, which is whether it is producing business or it is improving business. That's it. It should not be slowing down business. Project director then actually gathers the team leaders. So before I actually go into much more details, okay, let me just show you how we will be looking after or going after our SAP. In logistics, since we'll start with materials management, we'll start with material master. And in material, we'll start with material master using industry sectors, for example, mechanical engineering. And material type, we will be creating material types in the configuration, okay? And then we'll create a material. So material type, let's say RK00, select use, but I don't know who is actually using this RK0. So basic data, purchasing. No, not purchasing, just basic data. Okay, now this is the material number. We will be issuing to the material 30 mm bearing, ball bearing. Okay. Ball bearing Suzuki Cultus 2008 or 2014. Okay. Base unit of measure, each material group. Okay. Material group is basically, let me just share this with you. Okay. You can see this. Yeah. Now material group basically is how you actually handle different types of materials. For example, now this is industrial material, this is automotive material. Some will be for example, if you're producing washing machines in that very same factory, that material group will be separate for that. I mean, of course, that also requires ball bearings, but that will be for a different material group. So you will have material group for automotive, and the other will be for washing machines, right? So let's say I take this one, 73946. We'll also configure division. Gross weight. Gross weight is 1, weight unit is kg, net weight is 1. I'm just putting it so that we can actually go ahead. Basic data. Basic data, okay, basic material, part number, we can give part numbers over here. And other than that, purchasing, for that we need a plant. I'm not actually going to, because we have not actually put any plant or configured it. Okay, plant data storage, we will also configure plant storage locations. Okay, and then we have views over here. Accounting 1, again it asks for a plant, so we will configure company code and then a plant. Right now we just save this. So material 588 was created. Okay, so if you want to see MM60 created by new GUI 37. Evaluated materials, no, all materials. Okay, execute. So we have actually created only one material over here, which is coming from this material group, and this is material type. Now, what are material types? What are material group? Again, types. Now, types can be different. For example, ball bearing is 30 mm. There will be one 16 mm, 3 mm, 40 mm, and that is type. Material group, as I told you, material group will be differentiated based on your production facility, the groups that are available are responsible for making a material. Let's go back to discussion. How this was clear, this was just a brush up with the front end. So if companies actually want to go for implementations, okay, they will actually first grade and weight your processes. They will collect all the process, grade it, okay, under different bands for business improvement and generation. So for example, Johnson & Johnson wants to implement. So the first step, they will approach the consulting companies after completing this step. Okay, the consulting companies will then actually come down and give demos. They will show their teams. They will present everything and give a quotations. They will also show profiles and share profiles of the experts, the change management experts, the project managers, the consultants for every module, and of course, the project director profiles too. Then comes the ticket, the value of the ticket or the cost it will involve to get that product. Okay, because price is one of the factors, but not the most important factors if we are talking about international implementation, because they are cash rich, they already have, but they are much more interested in business quality. So for example, IBM wins the project, it will then actually come down and start meeting the teams, the HODs, and they will then segment every part of the department. Like, for example, if you're talking about HCM, okay, there will be different job descriptions and roles like training HR manager, recruiting HR, hiring HR, payroll HR manager, and so on. And inventory, of course, there will be inventory manager, warehouse manager, and of course, under him will be people actually running responsibilities, okay, in the warehouse, in the factory floor, in the storage, and so on. So the implementations partner basically get down to understanding the legacy system, the present business, okay? And present business basically is then understood as how and where the process is actually starting and ending and concluding, because they want to understand the engine of the business before the system is basically implemented and configured. We have, and if we talk about the system landscape, then there are servers that are put up as the implementation team takes the interviews of the parties, of the process owners, of the users. In the meanwhile, SAP technical team, they actually set up servers for setting up the SAP landscape. So in that landscape, we have three landscapes: development, quality, and production. Okay. So in development, we have configuration, testing, sandbox, research. These are types of environments that are available in the development server. And in this, we actually test, experiment every part of the process of the company. And once it is all good as per the liking of your client, then we actually move that configuration to quality. If we talk about that, let me just show you where we are basically storing our configuration. Okay. So if you look at this, for example, we have Benetton group that we have started. And in that, we are creating many areas like company code, plant, location, purchasing organization, employee subgroup, personal area. Now, this is the actual configuration that is happening. So what we do, we just actually select this folder and then we release it and we transport it. We transport it to what place? We transport it to the quality server where it is used for testing and training purposes. And once you have transferred everything, you start preparing the test script. Now, test script is nothing but using of the process where you actually keep the as is document against the to be document. Like for example, as I told you earlier, the process for inventory movement. For example, you're moving a bearing. So the people that are involved in the process in the legacy system will be matched with the process in SAP system, and you prepare a test script. And in that test script, it's just like a movie script. You have to actually enact every part of that act using the script. So you will be the script writer as well. You will put down the old process, and also against that old process, you will have the new process in place as well. And that script will be put before the users and the super users and the business process owners. Okay. And with that, of course, you also train the end users to get used to the SAP environment and the landscape. Once all the testing is done, the UAT is a success, 80% project is okay, then the PRD is basically activated and all the configuration and data and uploads are basically put in place in production. So if we talk about very quickly, what is the architecture? The architecture in R3 is three layers. That is presentation, database, middle layer. Okay. And of course, we have big data layers for reporting. In S4HANA, there is a database layer and the RAM is there, which is as big as the database in size. Okay. And of course, that has actually made SAP S4HANA very fast. So if we talk about the projects, then there are implementation projects, support projects, rollout projects, enhancement projects, upgradation projects. Okay. You will have a chance as a consultant to get into any part of these projects, and it will be, of course, an add-on to your profile. Okay. Now, as I told earlier, the ASAP methodology is nothing but it actually starts with project preparation, then scoping. We've already spoken about this. Then comes the blueprinting, which is the as is to be documentation of the process. Then we start gathering requirement, and the process knowledge is actually gathered. All the process from all the modules is actually gathered. And after that, the specification document for configuration is prepared. The gaps are identified. And after that, the configuration starts. Okay. Once the configuration starts, then comes the testing, the UAT part. Then there is a pre-go live preparation where you upload everything from quality server to PRD server, after which the go live and post go live actually starts. I hope this is all good for today. Okay.